Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and we are finally finishing up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films with the 2023 animated action adventure comedy family sci-fi film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Here is your trivia question for today. What movie are the turtles watching at the outdoor theater? The answer will be at the end of this video. At the start of this film, we meet a scientist named Baxter Stockman who has been working on making mutants. In fact, one of his creations is already pretty far along. Unfortunately, a group called TCRI is coming to collect all of his experiments. During that scuffle, Baxter is unfortunately killed, but at the same time, some of the ooze manages to sneak its way down into the sewer, creating 4 mutant turtles and a giant mutant rat. During this time, we get to see how Splinter raised the turtles and also why he hates humans so much. But at the end of all that, we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One night, our heroes end up saving a girl named April O'Neil. Not only does she befriend the turtles, but she also tells them about high school and that there's a criminal organization out there that could be stopped by these heroes. So the boys in green decide to stake them out and see if they can catch these bad guys. Now, of course, the bad guys end up being Baxter's experiments. They're led by Superfly, and there are a bunch of mutants that are considered Superfly's brothers and sisters. Instead of being able to befriend these mutants, the turtles end up finding out pretty quickly that Superfly has some pretty terrible ideas planned for the human race. And to make matters worse, TCRI and Cynthia Utrom are chasing after the mutants, including the turtles. So, will our heroes in a half shell be able to save the day while also following the rules that Splinter has set out for them? Jeff Rowe is the director for this film. Apparently, a lot of inspiration for the movie came from films like Into the Spider-Verse, Police Story, Rumble in the Bronx, Chung King Express, and Boogie Nights. Something they did in this film, which does not happen as often nowadays in animated movies, is they allowed the cast to actually record together in the sound booth. This way, it added for more of a connection between them and allowed for some improvisation. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross composed the score for this film. Did you happen to know that the both of them were in the band Nine Inch Nails? One of the things that is a surprising first is this is the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where all of the turtles are actually played or voiced by teenagers. Nicholas Cantu is Leonardo in the film, Micah Abbey is Donatello, Brady Noon is Raphael, and Shaman Brown Jr. is Michelangelo. April O'Neil, however, is not voiced by a teenager. She's voiced by Ayo Edebiri. Jackie Chan does the voice of Splinter in this film, and he actually tried out to be Splinter in the TMNT movie made in 2007, but unfortunately didn't get the role that time around. Also, another interesting thing about Splinter is he's supposed to resemble a mixture of Danny DeVito and Jeff Bridges. Ice Cube plays the character of Superfly, and the biggest reason that he was willing to do the film, not only did he like the name of the character, but apparently his kids were big fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons and movies. Also, there's something about Superfly that was revealed when the first toy line came out, is he was originally supposed to be Baxter Stockman, as you can tell by the clothes that he's wearing, but they ended up changing it and having it as two separate characters. Speaking of Baxter Stockman, Giancarlo Esposito does the voice for that character. Also, one of the original concepts they had for the film was that the Turtles were already going to be in high school, and Baxter was actually going to be one of the teachers at the high school. Maya Rudolph plays the character of Cynthia Utrom. What's interesting is they're definitely alluding to her being a different character at some point in the story, mainly due to the fact that an Utrom is a type of alien creature that somewhat resembles a brain, and it actually exists in an exoskeleton, which is what Cynthia probably is going to end up being. John Cena does the voice of Rocksteady in the film, and what's interesting is this is not his first time doing a voice for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He also played a character named Baron Dracum in the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. John Cena is also not the only famous WWE wrestler that has played Rocksteady. Stephen Farley, also known as Sheamus, did so as well in the live action film called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Seth Rogen is the voice of Bebop in this film. He's also one of the producers. In fact, he's been on a real roll recently when it comes to comic book adaptations. He was also the producer for the TV series The Boys and for the animated series Invincible. Paul Rudd is the voice of Mondo Gecko. Rose Byrne does the voice for Leatherhead. Hannibal Buress is the voice of Genghis Frog. Natasha Demetro does the voice of Wingnut. Post Malone is the voice of Ray Fillet. And Alex Hirsch does the voice of Scumbug. Shredder, who makes an appearance at the end of the film, was originally supposed to be the main villain, but they ended up deciding that having a more empathetic villain for the Turtles would be better this time around. Another character that was almost the main villain of this film was the Rat King. Another common partner for the Turtles that made a brief cameo in this film was Usagi Yojimbo, who actually appears on a notebook cover. One of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book series, Kevin Eastman, actually lends his voice to this film, as he's the first human that comes and helps Splinter out. Also, they named the high school after him, as in the movie it's called Eastman High. Peter Laird, the other creator of the comic book series, does not appear as a voice in the film, but there is a building that is called the Laird. Jimmy Donaldson, also known as Mr. Beast, lends his voice to the film as well, as a character called Times Square Guy. While the Turtles have their fight sequence in the Chop Shop, you can actually hear at one point the song Ninja Rap, which was done by Vanilla Ice and appeared in the film Secret of the Ooze. Also, when speaking about music, apparently Seth Rogen compares the soundtrack to this film to the soundtrack that they had for Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the video game. So when it comes to the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, I really liked this movie. I thought it had a great story, really fun to watch, and especially the animation worked so well in this universe. Some of the issues I had were kind of minor. I really like some of the older characters. So, for instance, having Bebop and Rocksteady kind of be good guys by the end, I didn't like that so much. But still, I enjoyed the movie, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, what movie are the Turtles watching at the outdoor theater? They are, in fact, watching the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is definitely appropriate because, as in the film, Ferris is trying to get out of going to school and fakes it with a bunch of lies. The Turtles are trying to be able to go out and party and lie to Splinter so that they can do so. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. If there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.